10-point rise up. Very thin ladder. This is not for the faint of heart, and highly suggested unless one is very comfortable with such volatility that you stay away and play in demo. The base 10 trades are probably the best ones that we can follow here this morning. We're going to be just following the base 10 here to start with. Gain 10 points up, 8 points back in like a minute. Of course, we had a huge gap open. And on that signal, there was no base 10 trade. We just lost our A and B biases. We do have our 10s and 5s up. Everything's just crazy. So again, highly suggest that you track this in demo if you want to do this live. Could be, well, everyone makes their own decisions. But it's very erratic, just like Fed days.
Still watching here, waiting for change in our biases A or B. Do have 10 and 5 that are up in terms of ergodics. There is extreme thinness to the ladder here. In fact, a lot of the depths are even in below 100. So
it's been like that all morning. 1.7 million contracts traded. We haven't seen that in a long time at the start of our day.
As Greg mentioned, today is a very unusual day, and demo may be a wise course of action, just given the thinness of the ladder. Some of the trending does go out the window. A lot of the large traders, owing to the thinness of the ladder, are more than likely just sitting out.
In terms of tracking just the base 10s, our biases have come back in.
We will need to see a pullback, seeing how quickly things move. Sometimes maybe even the pullbacks, even on the bigger base ones today with the thinness of the ladder, may not even be necessary. However, since we've seen that B bias angle up, we have moved up 5 points. And did have an arrow there. Do have a bit of a pullback here now, so that might pull back in terms of a sideways consolidation. That arrow came in very quickly, even treating these just generally as a setup 10 with a bigger stop. There's an arrow that just came in there.
Five-point stop would be more appropriate on these trades.
We do have that now.
And even a 5-point target. We saw noise in the market on Friday. We talked about noise, and today is that magnified. It's almost good to see what we did see on Friday as a prelude to this.
Most interesting to see about just adding contracts, just in terms of doubling your position. Again, looking at things even from a demo perspective, this is a highly unusual day. This does not come around very often at all. The confluence of things that started last week and precipitated over the weekend.
In our period of tracking, we've never seen a day like this that I can recall.
I will lock in a point, and you see how quickly that did shoot up. And just took 4 points, so very quickly, Greg, just taking 4 points there on the day. Look for another pullback here, and that's very likely not the most comfortable scenario. want to trade in just with how thin that ladder is. I'm looking, Greg, and all of those levels are in just the tens level, even below 100. So that will really cause us to have a lot of movement here, probably particularly on the tick basis. You have a pullback, actually another red arrow. So can't even be looking for the next white arrow again. Demo today is reasonable. 10A, we flattened on the 5-minute actually.
Yeah, the B bias is flattened on this move back down.
So no longer base 10. Well, we have the 10, setup 10.
A is getting flat.
There was, well, I wasn't able to move my stop fast enough there for that setup 10, as it jumped around right back down again to me. Let's look for another opportunity. Let's change my stop loss, which I hadn't done there.
And your profit as well.
And my profit. Yeah. It's interesting, the ladder is well ahead of the charts here at the moment. We've been down at 91 or 01 here for a few seconds before it moved from 03. So there is just so much activity going on in the market here, so much data being processed. I think there's delays market-wide here in some of the transmissions. Market's already, or the ladder's already at 06. And that arrow came in at 475, but it was 575 on the ladder, where the ladder was at that point. Do have the sharper angle on the A bias. I have 3 is a green, so it's even possible if the target level necessitates, I can consider doubling up here. I'm already ahead. I can't modify my ladder here at all. I've been trying to move my target higher, but there's an error on my ladder here, so my bracket, as such as it is what it is at the moment until my little notification thing at the bottom of the ladder disappears. My drag and drop modify failed to send is what it says. It's been saying that now for about a minute. So it may even move through this level. If it does move through this level and not even fill my target based on the lag that we're seeing. Someone's asking about a 5-point target, but as I say, I can't move it. Well, I can move this stop loss. Let's see if I can move the target now. Nope, still can't move the target.
You should change your profit on the ladder. There you go.
I just did that. At the moment, it's not helping for this particular trade. Let's see if I can do it one more time here. Oh, it's not moving. Move through that level and did not take that order out. Interesting, just given today, the market may actually try to close that gap. That's a huge gap, literally 140 points. I don't know when I've ever heard that before, Greg. 140 point gap here. It does move up here through this level. I may try to just flatten. That may work. See, the B has come in now instead of the A. 10B with the 3 as well. See a change in the tick level, or the tick ergodics here starting to turn up. So again, just moved up through or offset. Let me just try to flatten. There we go. It did flatten. Actually, looks like I got 2.25 points on that flatten. And just dealing with no pullbacks here, just with the pressure. Got in there on that last arrow. Interesting. Got in on the last arrow, which on the ladder, on the charts, was up at 11.25. On my ladder, it was at 8.25. So literally, there was a 3-point offset on the ladder versus the charts. May also just give this stop loss even just a little bit more. Again, have a green 3s. If we see another white arrow, and we're off of the break even on a significant basis. We are starting to stick to that 5 and 3 minute trend line upward, coming into a horizontal level on the 317, which could be a bounce point. Broke through that down to that level 02, it looks like, is you can see on days like a day like today, it's almost like you need a 10-point stop. Still sticking with the 5 and the 3 and even notionally the 10-minute channel. There is a white arrow we consider, well, our 3 minute has gone red, so we'll hold off on that. In terms of adding contracts, I mean. Still with the 10B. Looks like our 1s are straight down. Looks like we are going to fall here in the bigger picture through that, or potentially through that 5 and 3 minute channel. Ultimately looking for these 1s and volumes to come together there. The 3s have come back to green, and we've lost our B bias. Nothing to hold on. In fact, it's actually starting to move here again. Just got out there at just 2 points down on that 10B without having anything to transition to.
Just as you were getting out, the 1E was spiking in. It's interesting, but we've only been looking at the bigger charts here today, given the volatility.
I think some of the scalps may in fact work, but as you say, with the volatility, well, we have to have larger stops on the scalps certainly as well.
On a day like today, you could get a couple of points off the scalps possibly, but it's again with the very thin ladder. Today is a demo day.
We have our setup 10 back again with that A bias. We can be looking here, we moved up here through that level that we were looking at before. In the course of having our volumes turn around, come up through a cycle, thick E bias. Actually do have a pullback arrow, so 3s are there in agreement as well with 3D, 3B even. Setup 10, almost 10A. Just increased my stop there. There's an arrow. 5-point target. I've actually got a 7-point stop. 3D coming in quite nicely as well. Moving up here quite nicely and dropping down. You can see how that kind of impact is being felt. Right now, the ladder's at 1550. $14.25, so it's starting to even out a bit on the ladder in the charts here in terms of agreeability of where the market is. And 3 minutes came in there, or were in there, to just add on that last arrow. Just see about just even having a bit of a scaling view here. So now the adjusted 5-point target is 1750. It does move up here through this. I'll look to flatten if it actually hits the, actually it's not 5 points, it's set at 4 points here it looks like. And lost the B and lost the thing. So I'll just exit that. Actually ended up just getting a tick on that. I lost the A and the B, which is why we exited that. Ended up increasing that level by a tick. And some of the scalps may work, but just with the thinness of the ladder, I see only one level on the bid side that's more than 100. Actually, a couple here now, but it's coming in and out.
Moving back up to the high of our morning.
That's the move we wanted to see before losing that A bias. Is actually starting to come back in again. It would have been nice to be able to hold that double position here. Now we would have been up 4 points. Again, we're just looking at the base 10s here. 10, 10, 5, set up 10. Scalps do seem to be functional at times, but they are just
big moves.
Yeah. And you can see on your own ladder just how thin some of those levels are. We're well over 2 million contracts and not even an hour into trading. Here's the setup 10 coming back in again. 3's assisting, 3-1. Stoppage here at this level. Once again, try to look for a white arrow. Again, we're not using pullbacks here per se. Ideally, would like to see them. But just with the thinness of the ladder, looking for a pullback for a first arrow might be a little bit moot. Moves are seemingly happening very quickly. We're having bigger stops, bigger targets with the agreeable 3s looking to
1920 looks like a 1,400 contracts. Sticks out like a sore thumb given it's gone. We shot through there by a point.
Yeah, I just missed that level. I had to take a point higher. Actually, interesting, the arrow came in at the level that I actually got in at, but it's on my ladder was 2 points below. So certainly moving up here. Let's see how well we can do here just with that 5-point target. Just try to compound here, even at that level. 2.5-point level. Again, I am having issues with my ladder. Can't move my targets at all. I set another compound level there, 2 points or 4 points beyond the original entry. Again, I'm not able to adjust my targets, so if this does move up here, even toward the 27 level, I will flatten. Let's see if I can at least move my my stops.
That was another big jump.
Yeah.
Wow.
Moving up here through this level, and again, I can't move my things, but I will just flatten at this point. And I just gained 55 ticks there on that. Interesting. So pulling back here again. Looking for another arrow here. There's another arrow. 24.75. A lot of 26.75 and 28.75 again. We'll look for another potential compound here. Still with solid A bias, even getting stronger here now. We may have another push as these ticks are turning in the volumes as well.
Just a higher level note, the software is designed to track the market at different speeds, and over time, over the last couple of years, we've seen it work better, much better at faster speeds. We've never seen it this fast before. This is
we did see it that one day where there was the technical error in
the flash crash, but
yeah.
that was different.
Yeah,
because it just
different.
Kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping, and this actually has moves, pullbacks, and noise of 3 or 4 points, right? The other one just dropped, and you're right. It was, what was it, 1,000-point day?
No, it wasn't that much.
Or the move.
It was
we didn't.
A couple 100-point day. I think is what the move was on the S&P.
I thought the flash crash was almost 1,000. No,
really? Okay. You know what?
It was a lot.
And I just got out there, just with the threes beginning to turn, we may see more of an effect here downward. My ladder is not functioning there. I was down 3 points on that 10A, or instead of 10, I guess it was originally. My ladder is not adjusting on the tick level, so that original jump I may be offset here on my ladder. I may have to open it and close it again, but at the moment I'm not gonna do that. We'll figure out what that last compound was later on. Seeing this 3 effect here.
You just changed your setting on your ladder, I think there, Darren.
Oh, I just clicked auto center, so I wouldn't have to keep centering. See the 3, 1, C, all of those coming down here. See the 10 minutes starting to turn. So we may be in store for a bigger drop here. I lost that A bias. Moved through the 3-minute trend line. Interesting, today so far we've had almost a 100-point climb. We had a low there of 1831, and we just hit, looks like about 30. So about a 100-point move, Greg. Unheard of, a 100-point move in an hour. 100-point range. Certainly over a 10-point range anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So there is the base 3s. We're looking at the moment just at the base 10s. Those 3s and the 1s actually look very nice in terms of that last bigger move down. Looks like it was about a 15-point move down there in the course of those 3s turning. Normally I don't like to keep the auto center on, but just with the kind of moves here that's going on right now, it just makes sense to do that.
Fives turning red, flat. Threes still continue to be down sharply. C going into red. Tens are turning at the top.
Interesting, this base 3 here, strong 3s and 1s, C bias, B bias, even A bias now coming in. All looks like coming ahead of the 5s, turning in even the 10s. So base 3 would have paid off. Certainly, it's down almost 25 points from that last high on the 3s turning in the descent of the 3 ergodics. Watching them, looks like there might be a little bit of trending coming in. We're still just going to watch those, focus more on the 10s. May see, well, the 10s aren't going to be replotting here for another 5 odd minutes. See how the 3s or 5s replot at 10:35.
Coming back to the 1900 level, see if this is a support level. We've oftentimes noticed increments of 100 have been support levels for the market, psychological levels. We are right near the 10-minute trend line. Very quick 10-point rise to our previous point of resistance. Ten ergs are still up through this 30-point pullback. Not used to having to say that.
Well, that is a rarity. We do have a 3B down still if we're looking maybe for testing or seeing how the base 3 goes, but with these smaller charts turning, this may move right back up again. Of course, the 10-minute channel came into play there. It did move through on the 5 and the 3. Right back sort of into the middle of that 30-point pullback. So 30-point pullback, 15-point advance. Let's see if it begins to move down again through that last resistance level of the 30-point pullback. Still have the 3s down sharply with the 5s turning behind that. Our E bias, F bias have come into the green now sharply, previously being sharply in the red after or contributing to that 30-point move down.
Even a 3B down.
3B down if there's a red arrow.
Still very thin ladder.
And there's a, my goodness.
Had an arrow.
Had an arrow, and just in trying to get through it, the auto center is a little bit odd in terms of that. I may just have to use the buy market, sell market button or flatten. I'm actually in, it looks like, for 2 contracts as I tried a couple of times to get into that 3B. Let's see how that...
B is weakening now.
Certainly is a little bit, yeah.
Might want to try turning off the auto center for a few minutes and see if... I know it was moving very quickly.
Yeah. And it looks like that B is now gone. Just have to flatten it. Don't have anything on the white arrow upward. We do see the 1s and the E and the F and the tick moving up. So it looks like we're maybe stair-stepping upward here as we approach the 30 again. Let's see if something comes back on the A bias.
1 E tick F. 1 EK. A bias is flat. Starting to tick up a little. Actually tick into flat. And we've come almost all the way up to the top of, well, sorry, we have another 7 points to go for that 15-point move from the midpoint, the 1950 up to the 1930.
I think the auto center works, but I'm going to have to use the buy and sell market buttons as the ladder's shifting so quickly. Even without the auto center, it's moving, and I'm not, unless I jump or look a point and a half ahead of where the ladder is, it's difficult to get the entry that you want. At least with the buy or sell market button, you're getting in at whatever that existing level is, or as it's processed. Don't have anything on those 10s. Again, those 3s are coming back in again. 3B, even on that last couple of arrows. You see our ones and our volumes, however, our 1 and our scalps, our ticks, our E, all spiking up.
Anyone just joining us today, we've had a wild and crazy morning so far, and certainly a day that for most people a demo is advisable. It's not trending like we're used to seeing. We've had fast days before and we like the trending, but this is very emotional. Seeing a lot of noise as well. We talked about noise on Friday, having a couple of points move of noise. Here you can have 5, 7, 10 points. It just moves on a flash. We like to see nice trends form. With the thinness of the ladder, a lot of contracts traded, 2.3 million. We like the volume. In a broader sense, we like the fact that we have moved down so much over the past couple of days.
Real sharp EK, 1 tick, all of those came in there on that push up. And the 10-minute ergs are still up, but we don't see anything with the A or the B.
Like we did before. And at times we notice that the ladder is off a little bit from the charts too.
It's hard to comprehend or just recognize that, these pullback moves are 10, 15 point flash pullback moves. That one just hit 23 and now it's pulled back 12 points. Base 3 looks like that came in as the tick turned down. The E, the F starting to turn in the ones, existing 3.
Quick 5-point shot up. There.
And just registered down the charts.
Yeah. For a long time, we've been looking for a drop in the markets. I didn't think it'd be like this. We've never seen anything like this before, Darren. But at some point, the market will come back into trending once this volatility gets out of its system. And if we do have bigger ranges on the day, going back 5, 6 years ago, that was common to have a 20, 30, 40 point range in the day. When you get nice trending in days like that, it's very easy to pick off points here and there, even 2, 3, 4 point trades. Moving right back up here. 1E.
Seeing that B starting to turn up a bit. B bias.
Even 10 points.
Have about a 10-point consolidation last number of minutes. That's hard to say. See the one of the three starting to turn. That B bias may be starting to come to 45 degrees. We may have a 10B here soon. Do have ourselves a 10B now. Ideally, it'd be nice to see a pullback, but we can look for the next white arrow. Again, we're just viewing or suggesting in terms of just approaching this on demo. We do have some people trying to do live. A couple of them are up several points, really picking their spots. One of them's up 5 points. Another one is tracked 250 ticks in demo. So that is almost 60 points, I guess. That's wow. Certainly we've had about 100 points of range here this morning, so scalps coming in downward here at the moment. One volume tick starting to turn, lost the B bias, flattening on the 10 minutes. So nothing for that 10B that was possibly coming in there. I think it is going to climb with the tick and the F spiking, a little bit of E coming in as well. See the 3s turning. I think all of those will have an impact upward. We're still tracking the 10-minute trend line upward here, so see the 3s turning, spiking on the C. I attack green coming in. Already had a J attack green.
A bias has come in stronger than 45 degrees now. For the first time in a bit, it's become stronger. Nothing to pair with it in terms of the 10s or the 5s yet. See how this transpires.
And again, I say that EK, the tick, the F,
Spiking in and out.
Push up with the 1s and the 3s turning. I think that's the direction, at least in the short term, such as it is, that we would see things move.
Try to attempt to hit the high of our morning, maybe even close the gap more. Here we go.
See that B bias starting to come back in again. Volume EK spiking here down. Again, we're not tracking the scalps here at this point in time, but just interesting to see the flash effect of those coming in. They happen so quickly trying to capture the scalps, which is part and parcel why we're looking at the bigger trends with a bigger stop, so that the bigger trend, or the bigger cycle at least, is there, and having the pressures of the scalps as it moves up and down come into that, eventually move through in that direction.
Market trading in a couple of point consolidation level. Still a very thin ladder.
We have settled into this upper range here, even the 1895 to the 1930, but more particularly here this last little bit, almost the last half hour in this 10 to 15 point range. Slowed down comparatively speaking, quite a lot. Again, those 10s are oscillating, flattening. Lost that B bias that had been starting to angle up again. Now it's 60 degrees downward. I'm just going to take the time here now that there hasn't been anything on the 10s here for a period of time. There was a couple of close possibilities there with that B bias changing, but I'm just going to take the opportunity to close and open my ladder again here.
Shorter term, while we're waiting for the bigger charts to come into more trending, sort of volume E going upwards. Just had a clarification actually from the one person who mentioned they had 250 ticks who were asking some questions about that, and they actually had typed that in correctly. It should have been $250, not 250 ticks, based on one contract. So they were just playing a little bit. Which I guess is probably around 20 ticks. Still nice, 5 points. Very good. Someone else mentioned that they got 2.5 points live and shut it down. The next trade looked like a great trade and lost 6 points on it in demo. So has been a crazy day. Certainly can't tell people what to do, but our suggestion is to play in demo till things stabilize. Trading at a tighter range right now. We've had some nice setups come in. We've had other ones that turn around on us on a dime and drop 5-6 points, 10 points. The last few minutes we seem to be trading in a tighter range, which is nice to see. Moving up on a volume E, volume EK. Nothing on the 10s or 5s to consider. The bottom 3 is a little flat, although it is starting to tick close to angle. Point of resistance now at 2075 from a couple of minutes ago. After that 5-point drop, 5-point drop down and back up within 2 minutes. A bias has come back in, but the 10 ergs have flattened.
So that is an accurate level on my ladder. My it should be offset upwards by 17 ticks. I had one 3B. It did double entry just with the ladder error issue. So when I lost 4 points on that, it ended up losing actually 8 points. So that was only meant to be one entry, but the ladder ended up booking 2. We've got the A bias actually coming up, but flat 10 minutes. So there should be the addition of 16 ticks on that, just to offset that ladder error, transmission error.
Market has started to slow down the last little bit, 15 minutes or so, or trading in tighter ranges. We may start to look at some of the smaller setups now, Darren, while we wait for those bigger ones to come in. Still don't have the three ergs. A bias is up, B bias is down on the bigger charts. Of course, 10, 5 ergs aren't in 45-degree angle, nor the three ergs. A nice ticker going up. Nothing to pair with it. Close to volume EK. K backed off. Coming back down to our recent low here of 1915. Even have a volume E. We don't have the tick or the F agreeing with this. We very quickly bounce back a couple of points. If anyone does have any questions, please enter them in the question box. I'd be glad to try to answer them.
See E starting to angle down, tick F angling down here, but no scalp at the moment. See the D angle down, E. We're looking at our scalp pairings with the tick agreeable on the F, and of course the arrow. Threes may come in upward. We may have a 3-1 or a base 1. Certainly been about 30 minutes here in this upper range of, say, 1910 to 1925. Huge consolidation. You can see the 5 minutes actually have just plotted down almost at 45 degrees, that top one. Interesting that A bias is straight up, B bias is down. 1 10-minute going red. So we may actually see ourselves moving down again. We're, for the most part, suspending our, I'd like to see a pullback, but for the most part are suspending that, just given how much movement there's been here. Top 5 minutes not 45 degrees yet for 5B downward. We actually see a volume E, tick F coming in. Volume E may come in here. You see that F be there? And we're starting to maybe begin to look at the scalps in the threes here. I'm going to adjust my target again, maybe just at 5-point stop and a 2-point target. 5B starting to come in. That top 5 minute looks like it's almost at 45 degrees. Might be able to see the next red arrow. There's the next red arrow. And my order failed. I did a sell market button push there, and it was sending in the course of that drop and then failed to send. Try to look again here. And I'll try to go onto my ladder here. I'm going to take off my auto center. Here's an arrow. Just came in there. I was able to get in this time. Interesting there. I actually got in when the market, actually I don't even know how that happened, but I got in at 09, which was at the low there. The market did then jump up 3 points and now jumped down again 3 points. So I even look to have a 3-point target here. I'll adjust that back here to a 2-point target, I think, or 97.50, 97, 1897, 1997.50. Maybe a bigger level there. We also look like we may have the 05. See, the 3s have now come into this. Very, very nice. Let's see how this all comes together and whether these 10s come in behind it. Top one's flattening. That A bias within the next minute may end up plotting downward. I have to have a deeper target here, but again, 8 points may be what I will look for. In the meantime, our smaller charts are moving up. We need to have a big enough stop here again. This is why we're looking even from a demo perspective, but we need large stops here today given the thinness, extreme thinness of the ladder.
And the big range of the day.
And the big range of the day, 5 points. Even though we began to slow down, I did increase that before to almost 10 points. And even the 5 points might not be enough. We'll just see how that works. That puts my stop at 14. So you get 5A, 5.3. At the moment, the scalps, the smaller charts are just, at least in some pressure on the E and the F. Even the D are moving up. As mentioned, the A is down. Nice E, K attack. Nice tick and F, L attack coming in. Let's see if that does attack the 8.25 level. Okay, I didn't really see a change in the 10-minute ergodics on that last plotting a minute ago. Certainly are seeing the 5 minutes down and the 3 minutes. Did move through the 08 by a tick. moves through the 2-point level of 0750, I will look to lock that in or even lock in a point. We'll see how that transpires. Moving down here to that 2-point level.
Maybe even lock in break even or a tick.
Did open up there on the 2 points. I'll just take the 2 points there on that 5B or 5A, 5.3, 5A. Can look for a manner of pullback here. Got out at the 07 level. Let's see if these smaller charts begin to turn up. Give us a bit of a more discerned pullback. Did move up through that level. And a white arrow for a pullback. It also is coming into a scalp there with the volume E, but we do have the 5s and the 3s and the A and the B and even the C downward. Very likely we'll have a push upward here as we are seeing scalp. Well, obviously would have worked there for even a point target, but we are looking for a pullback on the base 5. B starting to flatten A still there. Looking for the next red arrow. Seeing if there's going to be another red arrow here. 5A, we've come off that 12 here by 3 points, 3.5 points. Minuscule considering the range we've had today, even during our session time. 30 seconds for 5 minutes and 3 minutes to replot. Seeing one's angled up, E starting to angle up. This may push higher here. Still have the base 5 downward, but considering this as a pullback, we still may see, well, it looks like the volumes are starting to turn, looking for the red arrow. Here's a red arrow. We're at 950. Let's see how our base 5 moves here with the B bias. Continuing angle down and that A bias being there. Volumes beginning to turn down. See if that E can come into red. And our ticks move down as well. With our 1s up and our E in the green, it still has pressure upward, which we are seeing here. Bigger stop, of course. Maybe the 06 is the I'll actually wait as the last low, and below that 06. 10 minutes may turn into this nicely here. We still have several minutes for it to replot. See the volume E coming in nicely. See if the tick can move down. That may flash us downward here again. Still with the 5A, 5.3 even, that bottom 3-minute ticking down again. Still taking the same approach, even though the market is super thin, even though we've got 2.6 million contracts traded, even though we've got a huge range on the day. Still the same approach. We started off today really just looking at the 10 minutes. Had one opportunity early on to consider a base 3. Just was a lot of volatility at that point in time. I just filled the 2 points there. Actually took my eye off my ladder and filled it at the 750 level. And we can look for even another opportunity here. Let's see if we can have even a scalp that may come in. We're looking for ultimately a pullback. Base 5A, B, still there. 3, the last little while has been threatening to turn in that bottom ergodic. And ultimately on that last trade was a 4-point drop as it hit 550 and through the 2-point target of 750. Just with the offset that I mentioned here, just tracking up 14 points here at the moment. I know my ladder just says 10 points, but there was the error on the base 3 a while ago, even 45 minutes ago, that caused a double entry at a 4-point loss. So just offset that with the entry that shouldn't have been in there. Starting to see a 1D, 1E come in upward. Market has already moved 4 points off of that low. Still have the 5A pullback in relation to that. You see a scalp here, though. We need the tick to be in agreement. And the F. Three minutes starting to turn green now, with the C bias starting to angle up. So we may have a bit more of a push here if those 3s do turn. Let's see as the 1s and volumes finish their cycle, looking for a red arrow. Again on a base 5. 10s have now turned red as well. Not yet 45 on the top 10. Here's an arrow. It did come in there at 8. This is where I got it. Keep our eye on the 5s. The top 10 starting to curve a little bit more as well. Moving through a point level, just as our 3s are beginning to show signs of turning. C bias is actually angled down. So I'll just maintain my 2-point target. Just filled the 2 points there on that 5B, or 5A again, sorry. did move down through that level, almost another point to the 05. For another pullback here. Still, however, a 5A, 5B, looking for another red arrow. See, the one's starting to show signs of turning at the top, seemingly coming back into a little bit more trending, looking at our 3 and 5 minute and even 10-minute channels downward here. There was a red arrow that came in there, and my entry was off by a tick. I'm just going to get out of the one contract here, if I can, at the break even, just to track the one level. There we go. Looks like that offset my ladder by one tick. It was a flash drop with that arrow when it came in. As soon as I clicked on it, it was gone down a point. And I tried to put it in just at that next level. It came back and put me in 2 levels. It came back and filled the original entry. I guess I would have been at the 575. No, original one was at 5. Out at 525. Second entry at 550. We'll try to offset that by having just a tick further on this 2-point target on this 5A. See the one's starting to turn. See the 3s. Again, just in the same orientation. C bias is down, B bias flashing down further. One D coming in nicely underneath that in terms of the scalp. Ticks are a little bit wonky here. We do have the 1900 as potentially a little bit of a draw here. Looks like our top 10 is almost 45 degrees. Our tick has just turned on us. Still have the C bias down, so that C and the 3s are not agreeing in terms of the 3 effect here. The eye attack is not there either in terms of the green crossing or angling to cross the red. So still have the base 5. Seeing the more particular impact of the smaller charts here. Tick angling up, and that is probably where our, see the C bias now started to angle up as well. So we'll exit now. Just ultimately on the offset there, the 5 ticks down. 6 ticks when you consider the original position. I think it still is actually going to move down, but with the C bias starting to angle up, at least it was there with the 3. That was the couple of indications there that that 3 effect may come in strongly or stronger. CRB bias now turn. A little bit of a flattening on that 1 5-minute ergodic, so that regardless would have been the reason to get out. We did get an advanced indication with that 3 green, but also that C bias starting to turn up. Starting to see a scalp come in here with the volume D. Tick is up, F starting to come in. We'll just have a 1-point target on our scalps. You can see that F come back in again. That was a real boost up there in terms of that C bias turning up, the 3 effect. Let's see. We don't have the F, and that tick is no longer agreeable. So slightly flattened 5-minute ergodic. Top 10 just flashing off of 45 degrees or close to it. Do have the volumes up, but nothing else here to pair with. One D, again the tick, not there. Have our B bias now up at 45 degrees, almost the C as well. That A has gone flat. Almost an EK downward here with the tick in the F. K backed off. Ones are not there for a 1E. Again, we are looking at the scalps and the array of setups here at the moment now. Looks like that A is starting to spike in again, that top 10 minute. Greg, I think is 45 degrees now.
Spiking down, even more than 45.
Looking for the next red arrow. Had a slight pullback there. Again, we are suspending or at least giving a little bit more leeway on the pullbacks in terms of the bigger setups. Nice 10-minute replot there. The 5-minute went flat. Lost some of the A bias though. It's less than 45 degrees, so it is a setup 10. Not a setup 10A though. We do have the 1D in terms of a scalp. 1E. Right back down to this level, another 5-point move from that 10.25 pullback. EK coming in upward and just backed off. Still have the 1D downward. Need the tick to be in agreement. Setup 10 as well is there. On the last replot, the A softened slightly. Volume E, volume D, need the tick in the F, tick starting to turn. See your 5 minutes starting to turn 3 minutes. This may now push us upward here. So let's keep an eye on that. Just as we had the 5 threes working together downward, you may see them come together upward here. Volume D still here with the tick. In the F, we may see a scalp downward, which would also be a setup 10. Here's a red arrow that just came in. And even just with a 2-point target, as it touched on the 1 point, actually 1.25 points on the scalp. Of course, we're still looking at this as a setup 10. One point may have been an ideal look there on that scalp. There's a really nice A bias. I'm more sold on the base 10 there. Slight bias on the A bias for setup 10, though. Normally what we look at is there, and certainly what I'm looking at, but we now need to see the scalp come back in again here. Again, seeing the 3 effect bouncing, and this may be the end of this. All right, let's just look at it for a few more seconds. The C bias has started to angle down again. See the 1 minute starting to flatten and perhaps move down. And our A bias looks like it's softened. So just had to get out of that setup 10 at 2 points down. Just on the 1 point target for the scalp, that would have come in quite nicely. Scalp beginning to come in upward. 10s and 5s conflicted. May see something around that E, volume E starting to come in. We'll need to see the tick come in, volume EK, D. Both of those backed off. Did have a push without the F being there. See the 5s now turning, A bias flat, B bias up. Maybe a recovery here up to the top of this range. Volume D. Nothing on the ticker F here. Again, an 8, 6, 7 point move up already here, right to the 10 level, which was the last push. Volume D. See the F spiking. May see a white arrow. There's a white arrow. And just on the scalp, a 1 point target. Has to move through the 10. Starting to flatten here. In terms of the scalps, it may also bear value just to do a set and forget approach on it. Hard to say, not seen this kind of movement here in the past, so did touch on that, did not fill. See our 1C now is coming in underneath this, so that does continue to at least provide us a scalp setup. Fives are not yet at 45 degrees, did fill that 1 point there on that scalp. And it did move up quite substantially beyond that.
It moved up another point quickly. 3s have come back in.
3s are there now.
Push up.
3-1. That B bias actually turned on us on that last plot.
It did.
Yeah. Could be close to a 10B downward, but 3-1. There we did get an arrow. It was off by a tick there. In terms of that entry, we are again not, or at least relaxing our pullback scenario. We did have a pullback there, however. And again, with the base 3, it's like a, well, I just was about to consider moving that target up there, and it just filled the 3-1 there for a point. Certainly with our 10s and 5s having a 2-point target here. With our scalps a 1 point, base 3, ultimately 1 to 2 points. We have the 3-1 here still, 3C, at a pullback. If we see a white arrow, we are coming up here now to the next level, which may be the 17. There's a white arrow. And my 2-point target just below the 17 there. 3C, 3-1, the bias softens slightly. If it moves through that point, I may look to just lock that in. See how quickly it can move up to the 2-point level. Tapping on a 1.5 and just filled the 2 points there on that 3-1, 3C.
Continuing to move higher. See if we can take a run to our, well, the high of the morning is 8. I was going to say 1831. That's the low.
Yeah, the next level is 2024 range, and then basically the 30. Looks like our 5s and 3s coming together. May have a bit of a pullback here. See the volume coming down. Volume E, though the E is still very thick in the green. Looks like we do have 5s that are 45 now, Greg. That C bias starting to soften, the 1 softening. That B bias, though, may still be 45 degrees.
Some red arrows for pullbacks. Look for another white arrow. We've moved up, well, at the peak here, 1918, 10 points over a 2-3 minute period. A nice steady ascent with.
We'll be back to our base 5 here, looking for a white arrow.
5B, 5
There's a white arrow. 1725. 5-3, 5B, even 5A. Have the next level at around 24 as a point of resistance, and then the almost 30 it looks like beyond that. Could try here to trail this higher, put it up at 4 points, and just see if I can lock in the 2 points as it moves through that. 5 has come off slightly. 3 still there with the base 3. That's started to come off slightly from 45 degrees. And just had to take a point down there on that 5-3. A bias was lost as well. See if there's another opportunity. The C starting to spike in again. Maybe a 3C may come in. Meantime, our smaller chart's still angling down. So, as I say, that was a point down, that 5-3.
EF spiked down just as we had a 3-point drop.
B bias slightly off 45 degrees, as is the C. 3s are up nicely, so let's see if there's a scalp that can come in. 5s are still up, though. One of them has lost the angle. 10s are down 45 degrees. Looks like that A bias is flat. Not so interested in a setup 10 without a bit of a stronger angle in the A bias downward. Perhaps a scalp, though, may come in. At the moment, we're not, no real indication of which way the scalp may or may not come in. Looks like an EK may be coming in upward here. That just backed off slightly. 3C is now back on that last plot of the 3 minutes. And let's look for a white arrow. There's a white arrow. Just came in at 15. Need to see the smaller charts come into this as well. Again, base 3 kind of in between the scalp and the bigger setup, so if it moves through a point, 16 will look to lock that in. C is still there. Looks like our 1s are turning down with the E and the D, giving us a bit of a movement down. See if those volumes can press us upward here. And that's 16. If it moves through that, I got my target at 17, which is the 2 points. I'll look to, and I just took the 1 point on the 3C there as it moved through that lock-in position at the 16. If we can see a scalp here, that'll be nice. I know we've had our 3C. We are basically in the range of where exited within a tick of what would have been the 2 point range. There is close to a scalp, not having the F there. So the 2 point target would have worked on that, but we did move through and lock in the 1 point, given the oscillation we'd had at that level. And nicely moved up here to this, where we are here now. Again, 24 looks to be the next level. 3C, haven't seen even a pullback here. Might be seeing a bit of a pullback here in terms of this sideways consolidation. Something a little bit more clear. 5C, 5.3, 5B now coming back in.
We may need to wait for the 1s and ticks to finish their cycle, although the D and F bias are still in the green.
Yeah, that was a bit of a pullback. We are looking for a white arrow. It hasn't come in yet.
There's the tick turning. With the FL, there's a white
the
arrow.
White arrow. 1950. Again, we may even hit that 24. So moving up, touched on the 2 point level. And move through the 2 point level. I will lock in 1 point, and I'll just, oh there, I just took the 2 points. Give it a moment there to push higher. I took the 2 points there at 2150 after having locked in. The 1 point actually moved up another point beyond that to what would have been the 3 point level, but softened on the B, softened on the C, so that was probably the sweet spot for that push on that 5.3, 2 points there. And there was what would have been, I had it set, if you saw there at the 4 points initially, 2350, just touched on that, not sure if it would have filled. But to get the 2 points on that move, starting to see that C bias come back in again. 3D, 5.3 with the C bias agreeable.
This was a bounce spot earlier this morning.
Earlier this morning.
Push through here, we could continue to close that gap.
30 is the next level where we hit earlier this morning.
10-minute chart, it doesn't look like that far, does it?
No.
It is 7 points.
Let's see if we can have a bit of a bounce off of this as a pullback. We do have the 5.3 C bias oscillating. There's a pullback arrow. We can look for the next white arrow, though we do have the 1s and volumes angling down. E bias, D bias, though thick in the green, starting to come down, but looking for the next white arrow. Ideal to see even a bigger pullback. One volume E. All those were coming in downward in terms of a scalp. That C bias is flattened somewhat, as has the B, so I'd like to see that recover a little bit for the 5-3 upward. There's the C coming back in again.
Did have a 2-point pullback. Just need possibly for the ones in volume to turn. The tick is turning now.
Get our C bias back again, looking for a white arrow. There's a white arrow. And I'll be able to get in here at a better level. Ladder's not functioning here right now. There it is. Came in. 25, 25. Again, the 20, even the 29, 25 might be a possible target, but again, moves through the 2 points of 25, 25. That C bias dissipated. We still have the B bias in there slightly with the A bias coming in. But we had our ones, volumes all come down here against us in terms of that sharp drop down. B bias starting to soften a bit more. A bias starting to soften a bit. Let's see as these volumes begin to turn in the tick if this can push right back up again. See the tick beginning to move. See if the volume's coming behind it. Again, it moves through that 2-point target. I know I have it higher. See if these volumes can come in. EK spiking in upward potentially. B bias has come back in again with angle 5-3. Of course, that A bias is there as well. Actually got some 100 values on these depth here now, which is better than what we were at earlier this morning in the 10s and 20s. It's moving up through that level, coming close to the 2 points where I'd like to lock that in. Did move up higher, hovering over the 2-point level. I'd like to see this move all the way up to the 29. Yeah, it was a flash drop there below the 2 points, not able to lock that in. May get it here on this push up again.
As we tap on the 317 trend line.
Indeed.
Even 5-minute trend line following the 5, 10, 5-3 trend lines.
I'll put it back up again and just hover over the 1-point lock in. See if I can have an opportunity on the 2-point lock in again. There it is. Two-point lock in, 25, 25. Well, I haven't locked it in yet. I'm hovering over that.
Even lock in break even in case there's a flash drop or a tick.
I just took the 2 points there. Actually, we did lose the A and the B bias, though the C showing still a little bit of angle, though flattening a bit. So that base 5 is a little bit weak now. So it was 2 points on that 5-3. And there's that push that I wanted to see up through that level. Right up, and as I mentioned, the 29.75 we're now within a point of that. So that was that did work out exactly as I talked about, but still locked in the 2 points there, Greg, in that sweet spot range. Had a bit of a pullback, do have 3D. This could move through this 30 level, looking for the next white arrow after that pullback. 3D 5-3 back again. See that 1 10-minute starting to turn. Didn't see anything there in terms of a white arrow. It's already advanced now 4 points over where I saw that pullback. There's a white arrow. And again moved up here on this 5-3 basis. Moved up almost a point there on a very flash move. Let's see if we can continue up here into new territory here now. Target can be higher. Let's see if we can lock in the 2 points. Again, we are tracking close. Almost feeling like I will lock in half a point. I'd like to see this move up here through this 34 level. There we go. Again, my target higher, just at the 4-point level. Got myself hovered over the 34.25, which is the 2-point level. Did tap on 3 points. And just took my 2 points there at 34.25. I have another pullback here with our smaller charts beginning to angle down. Still very strongly colored green, D, E. Our F is now into the red though. Let's see how it happens on this turn here. We have a pullback, looking for another white arrow. 5-3 B A C. There's a white arrow. And my ladder didn't function. I can't put any order in. Sending order but not filling, not even entering. And there it actually did just put me in right at at that high there. I tried to get in at 35, and it actually just filled me there at the 2-point target. Actually went in for 2 contracts or 2 orders, and filled there at 2 points. It delayed a good 2 seconds before putting in my order at what was ultimately the market, which was a point looked like behind what I tried to enter at. Still filled the 2 points there.
Closing the gap. Moved up through the peak of our morning. We could continue to rise. Be interesting what happens here.
Here we do have a pullback. Again, our 5-3, 5A is still there.
Strong volume E, K, F with the ticks. Just need to wait for them to turn. 4-point pullback. We've had a nice pullback. We're starting to possibly turn here. We can look for a white arrow. On a 5-3, there's a white arrow again.
We can even again have target higher. 41.25 was the last push. 40.50 is the 2 points. To tap on that. see our volumes moving through that. 40.50 opened up. This may even move higher here. Just took the 2 points there in our last 3 minutes here. My ladder is acting a little bit wonky in terms of the calculation of its ticks. That one didn't change the tick level at all, so may have to, well, I've got my numbers written down anyway on my worksheet. So,
well, we're in our last 2.5 minutes here, Darren, so why don't you just start calculating, and we'll just start to wrap up here a couple minutes early. It's been a long day, and I know you've got a bunch of trades to calculate. Again, we've seen fast markets, never markets as fast. Of course, China having their big drop last night. They've been down over the past few months, I think 30-some%. I was reading earlier, and then of course last night they dropped another 8.5%. Cause for our large gap open this morning, closing in on 3 million contracts traded. Early on it was very erratic. Now it's starting to come back more into trending, and I've had a bunch of successful trades. Early on it was 5-6 point, sometimes 10-point jumps in seconds. It was crazy right at 9:30, and now some normalcy is starting to come back, and certainly a good time to practice if one is wanting some practice opportunities. If you're on this afternoon, make sure you do watch for a nice 45-degree angle on the ergs, 45-degree angle on the bias if you want to be more conservative, even 60-degree angle on the biases. The 5A has come in nicely. That last arrow, we're just stopped our tracking here for the last minute or so. Could have grabbed another point there on that last 5A. Trust everyone's found this more enjoyable today than the days where we've had very tight ranges, and this is totally different. Some days it's like watching paint dry. Here we've had huge moves, like we've never seen before. We're just at 12 o'clock right now, seeing our A bias go flat. Fives, the top threes turning, may have a little more of a pullback. Certainly should be a nice fall. We've talked about how when a lot of the traders come back in the fall time, oftentimes there's a bigger ranges, more trending in the markets, and today has certainly shook up the markets. So it'll be interesting in the next days that follow, the ranges that we get and the volume that we get. Obviously, the bigger the ranges, oftentimes the more volatility, and if we can get into consistent 20, 30, 40 point would like to encourage everyone who is newer to continue to review the overview videos, to understand the patterns we watch for, the ergs, understand what the ergs mean, the biases, the attack. The faster you grasp those contracts or concepts, the faster you oftentimes will be able to identify the setups coming in. And the more you look at the charts, the more you see the configuration that we have. the more it'll start to make sense and speed up that learning curve. And then, of course, practicing in demo. Practicing in demo, so when you see the setup and the arrows come in, that you can act quickly and be able to execute on trades, start to develop a batting average. Start to see the patterns that come in for the different setups. See them over and over again. See the threes turning here, a nice 3-1-D. I think you're almost finished there, Darren?
Yeah. Again, early on, just again a weird day, an unusual day, highly unusual day, but we had that 10-5 with a 4-point target, or not even I had a deep target, took 4 points on that initial 10-5, one trade for the 4 points on the 10-5. On the regular tracking setup 10, we had 3 trades in regular, down 2 points, up 2 1/4, and then we had the compound, which ended up being up 14.5 points. So we had 14 3/4 points on the setup 10, and then in the extras setup 10 we were down 5 points, had 2 trades subsequently for 3-point loss, 2-point loss. And in terms of our non-setup 10 extras, 10B down 2 points, 10A up a tick, 3B down 4 points, 5B up 2 points, 5A up 4.5 points, 1D up a point, 3-1 up 3 points, 5-3 up 7 points, and 3C up a point for 12 3/4 on the non-setup 10 extras. So overall on the day, Greg, 18 3/4 regular tracking and 7 3/4 extras tracking. So that's over 25, 26, I think, 26.5.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for being here today, and Darren again for your great commentary. Be safe and diligent if you're on here this afternoon, and certainly practice and demo. See everyone back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye.